We begin from Parliament tonight, where Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta says the economy is on track and is emphasizing major macroeconomic indicators are now trending in the right direction. He said government is on course to achieving the stability of the economy in a sustainable manner while accelerating growth and creating jobs and prosperity for all as promised. Presenting the mid-year budget review to Parliament, Ken Ofori-Atta said the macro-fiscal performance achieved in the first 6 months of President Akufo-Addo's administration shows remarkable progress.
The first quarter of 2017 grew by 6.6% against 4.4% for the same period in 2016. Inflation reduced to 12.1% at the end of June 2017 from 15.4% at end December 2016. Interest rates are on the decline. For example, the 91-day Treasury bill rates have reduced from 16.4% at end 2016 to 12.08% at end June 2017. The fiscal deficit as a percentage of GDP for the period January to June 2017 was 2.7% compared with a deficit of 4% over the same period in 2016. The primary surplus for January to June 2016 was 0.6% of GDP compared to a deficit of 1.3% over the same period in 2016. And the gross international reserves at the end of June 2017 was $5.9 billion, equivalent of 3.4 months of import cover, up from $4.9 billion at the end of December 2016, equivalent to 2.8 months of import cover. Mr. Speaker, interest rates have responded to government's economic policies and are now trending downwards. The Bank of Ghana reduced its monetary policy rate MPR by 450 basis points from January to July 2017. 200 basis points from 25.5% to 23.5% in March 2017, by 100 basis points in May to 22.5%, and further by 150 basis points to 21% in July 2017. The trend of lower interest rates we are seeing is in direct response to the equally consistent declines in headline inflation and inflation expectations, and the general improvements in the macroeconomic fundamentals.
Mr. Ofori-Atta also said the fiscal deficit as a percentage of GDP for the period January and June 2017 was 2.7% compared to a deficit of 4.0% over the same period in 2016.
Updated information shows that the end 2016 fiscal deficit was worse than previously estimated, at 9.3% of GDP compared to the provisional figure of 8.7% of GDP on cash basis at the time of presenting the 2017 budget. This represents the worst performance since the record deficit of 2012, essentially questioning where progress was made over the previous 4 years to get the economy going. The deficit on commitment basis is now at 10.9% of GDP, up from 10.3% previously reported. This revision has been occasioned by the reversal of interest payment of the non-marketable instrument that fell due at the end of 2016 but recorded as part of 2017 flows, as well as a revision of the 2016 GDP by the Ghana Statistical Services in April 2017. Mr. Speaker, in recent years, the country has unfortunately accumulated a large amount of debt, which resulted in the country being at a high risk of debt distress and putting our economic development in jeopardy. From a debt stock of $9.5 billion at the end of 2008, it increased to $122.3 billion at the end of 2016, an increase of debt stock, Mr. Speaker, by 1,154%. The debt servicing payments arising from this legacy of debt accumulation amounts to some 45% of total domestic revenue. Unfortunately, our economy will have to live with this burden for some time as we make efforts to repair the damage.
Well, the finance minister has also been speaking on the energy sector, saying that government has saved the country an estimated $1 billion after it renegotiated and restructured the terms of a liquefied natural gas supply contract entered into by the past government. Ken Ofori-Atta said many of the contracts signed by former President John Mahama's government were found to be overpriced and higher than prices charged locally.
We inherited a power sector which had contracted so many power purchase agreements well beyond the country's demand, which had the potential to exacerbate the already dire financial crisis in the sector. As promised by His Excellency the President in the 2017 State of the Nation Address, Cabinet is deliberating the strategy paper submitted by the Ministry of Energy towards rationalizing the PPAs to ensure least cost power generation capacity additions. On the regulatory front, Cabinet has approved the establishment of the Electricity Market Oversight Panel, EMOP. The EMOP has been provided under the Electricity Regulations, LI 1937, but has not seen the light of day since 2008. The EMOP is to be inaugurated in August 2017 to begin implementation of its mandate. Mr. Speaker, one key intervention the government has promised in the 2017 budget was the restructuring of VRA to bring about increased operational efficiency and private sector investment in the power sector. Government has approved the VRA restructuring agenda submitted by the Ministry to Cabinet, and processes towards the implementation of the restructuring agenda have begun under the coordination of the Ministry of Finance. Mr. Speaker, in the renewable energy front, government has given approval to Bui Power to collaborate with Sino-Hydro to construct a 250-megawatt solar power facility to operate as a hybrid electricity generation source to complement the hydroelectricity so that Bui Power Plant can enhance its electricity generation capacity during off-peak periods.
Well, shortly after the presentation in Parliament, we gauged the views of some of the personalities who were there to listen to the Finance Minister deliver the mid-year budget review.
I don't think the government is restraining expenditure as a deliberate policy choice. You know, it's in
IMF.
Well, no. In fact, you know, the expenditure is driven by revenue. You only spend what you have. So they are being compelled to hold back expenditure because of the underperformance of revenue. So the more constructive, productive solution is to address the revenue challenges, you know, and that's what we're looking forward to seeing.
You're hearing that they're going to do some cuts as well in expenditure, but that will be non-essential items. Some have said that as cosmetic and all those things. What are your views on that one as well?
Well, I would say that, you know, we need a comprehensive review of public spending in Ghana. You know, there are items that constitute rigidities, like wages and salaries, like the huge debt service costs, which are difficult to cut. But there's room also to touch expenditures that may not be generating the levels of efficiency required, you know. And it's a difficult balancing act, but where revenues are seriously underperforming and you need to restrain your borrowing, you certainly have to look at restraining expenditure. But you have to do it intelligently, cleverly, making sure that those expenditures that affect productivity and economic growth more will be saved somewhat.
In spite of our inability to rake in all the revenue we thought we would rake in at the time of the budget, we are able to keep the deficit within target. And so far, we are within target and projected. We are even improving from 6.5% to 6.3%. I think it is good news. But perhaps for most people out there, it is our commitment, in spite of this, to deliver on the social interventions and our flagship initiatives, the free SHS, the LEAP, and all the other one district, one factory, we have preserved in spite of this effort to get the deficit right. we have still been able to protect these initiatives. I think by all indications, the delivery has been good, the management strategy has been good, and we thank not just the media, but Ghanaians that have cooperated with us and made this success story possible.
And those were some reactions to the media budget review. We want to move away from that to some other story that is unfolding. The Industrial and Commercial Workers Union, ICU, is kicking against moves by management of HFC Bank to outsource drivers employed by the bank. ICU believes many of the drivers who are members of the union will be laid off in the process without recourse to due procedure. Addressing some disgruntled drivers of the bank, General Secretary of the union, Solomon Kote, advised the drivers to go back to work whilst they engage management on the matter.
ICU is taken aback because as part of our organizing work, workers of HFC have expressed interest to join our union. A number of them has filled our forms, and from nowhere, management have taken a decision to say it is going ahead to outsource all the driver session. Whether or not it is a plan that is in the incubator before this day, we don't know. But we believe that management, having come to that understanding, should apprise themselves to the Labour Act. The Labour Act demands that if you are contemplating to do redundancy, you put the Chief Labour Officer on notice 3 months prior to your contemplation. This had not been done. Then all of a sudden, these workers were invited to come to Accra from all over their branches. And upon meeting the management in Accra last Saturday, they were handed over letter to say this is the end of your employment with the business. And we think this is an unfair labor practice.
Immediate effect, or at least there was a prior notice?
No notice. 1 month notice is what is being served. Okay, and we think they now have a union. For the fact that the certificate has not been issued, once they fill the union form, they are the bona fide members of the union. And the matter is that all matters of the employment is subject for negotiations. Management have just told them we are going to give you 2 months salary, and those of you who are interested, we are sending you to the Montran, group of business. This is not proper in tandem with the law. So ICU is saying that management, let's request ourselves, do the right thing. The redundancy is a right of employer. We cannot say don't do redundancy, but if you want to do it, let the tenants that prescribe, redundancies to be followed to the latter, and we'll be fine. Fortunately, this morning we are having a meeting with them, and therefore, because the drivers were pulled down and they were given this shock, because if you are called by your employer one morning, they tell you, this is your letter, go home. You understand what that implies? So we need to come and address them, put them at peace, and then ask them, everybody should go back to his workplace. Any letter that spring surprise on them, they shouldn't collect whilst you meet management and address them.
You did indicate that you are having a meeting with them this morning, yes. And as they also said, they were given a 1 month notice. Why couldn't they wait for some time before coming out with this? I don't want to call it a demonstration, but kind of, just to tell the people that we are not happy with the decision. You are having a meeting with them, so why don't they wait for the meeting to come to a conclusion?
You will agree with me that I said the workers have been drawn from all the regions in this country, and they are having such a serious, agitation and say that how could we be treated this way? So it is proper for the National Union to come and address them and tell them that, look.
Banking Now, an investor merchant bank, is confident it can meet the new capital requirement of the central bank, which it will be introducing and is expected to strengthen the banking sector. Chief Executive of UMB, John Owere, spoke with Joy Business at the bank's 45th anniversary celebration.
The special 45th anniversary celebration gala was held in honor of UMB's customers and stakeholders to show UMB's appreciation to them for supporting the bank since it began operations in 1972. In an address, the CEO of UMB Bank, John Owere, reaffirmed the bank's commitment to exceeding their expectations through innovation and exceptional customer services. He also indicated the bank was well poised to meet the new capital requirements by the central bank when introduced.
Talking about UMB meeting the capital requirement, we are almost there. Nobody knows the number that is coming out, but we are currently far in excess of the current regulatory capital. So whatever capital that comes, we only have to top up a little. We may not even have to do anything because we are far in excess of the current regulatory capital. If there is a struggling institution that needs to be talked to, we have our eyes open and our ears also open. We are watching. That space is a very broad space, and it's a place that everybody is watching, and we want to ensure that we will not just combine for combination's sake, but whoever we will be talking to or will bring to our fold will be a bank or an institution that is fit for purpose and will come to add to the value that we are creating. We do not want big size for its own sake. We want big size with value.
The festive evening had special dignitaries, including former President Jerry John Rawlings and some ministers of state, as well as former governors of the Bank of Ghana.
Now, staff of Owere Mines are blaming administrators of the company for the thriving illegal mining in its concessions. They accuse leadership of leasing parts of the company's concession to small-scale miners, which end up attracting illegal operations. Local secretary of the Ghana Mine Workers Association spoke exclusively to Love Businesses Nana Yao Jima.
The Owere Mines, which owns about 125 kilometers square of concession, ceased operations about 3 years ago due to lack of investment funds for exploration. Gradually, portions of the company's property are being taken over by illegal miners, even when government ban is still in force. Security personnel engaged to protect the concession appear helpless. Staff are confused even in full glare of military personnel. At Kumediosia, for instance, illegal miners continue to carry out their activities unhindered. Mr. Osu says suggestions by management proceeds from lease to small-scale miners is used to maintain the mine are untenable.
They claim that since they don't have any investors to let's say develop the concession, it is true that they are getting some amount of money to support or to maintain the place. People in this community even think that the mine has collapsed because of this galamsey activity being perpetrated by our own directors or the owners of the concession. Had it not been some of us who are able to speak to these issues, galamsey activity here will not even come to light, because it seems all the people in this community support this illegal act because they get their share. So those of us who are speaking against these nefarious activities has become even a target.
Company administrator George Frimpong denies the allegations.
Is that almost every day, day in, day out, we have this menace of encroaching the site. The land is so huge, it's about 125 square kilometers of land. So you hear some people are working here, you ride the military there, the next day you find them in a different place. So that has been a very hectic hurdle for the Owere Mines. But we are still coping. But we are spending a lot of money on the military and other security personnel that are working for the mines.
Meanwhile, some workers are threatening to picket at the Ministry for Lands and Natural Resources over unpaid salaries. They say they are still awaiting a response from government, despite filing a petition months ago. Francis Osu speaks for the agitated workers.
It might surprise you to know that for the past 20 months, workers of the mines have not been paid their salaries. For the past 20 months, we have sent a petition to the Office of the President, the Minister of Mines and Natural Resources, and as we speak, we have not heard from them. And we want to use this medium to let the good people of Ghana to know that if you don't get or you don't hear from the Presidency and the Ministry 1st August, we are going to picket in Accra.
Nana Yao Jima reporting.
You're watching Business Live. We want to do a quick update now on the stocks. I'm joined in the studio by Betha Atubiga of Gold Coast Fund Management. Great to have you in the studio, Betha. The Finance Minister addressed Parliament this afternoon, was patting government on the back. I want to just read portions of what he said about the interest rates coming down by 500 basis points and the MPRs also by 450 basis points. From where you stand, is it all good?
Yes. Well, it is very good for the stock market. Let me put it that way. It's good indications with the interest rates coming down. by 500 basis points, and then MPR rates also coming down by 450 basis points. And we all know inflation has also been very stable in this first half of the year. And if you look at this and the impact on the stock market and the currency market, the stock market has an inverse relationship. So definitely we're going to see more investors shift their confidence into buying more equities or investing in equities that are listed on the Ghana Stock Exchange. And it's doing extremely well now. And if you look at the CD side, okay, let me just chip in with everything with regards to the CD.
Sure.
Now, the CD is going to experience some level of stability when these indicators are actually going down or stabilizing in the economy. And now we're also expecting more inflows. You know, they were able to raise about 1.49 billion from the 5-year bond, which is also like good signal for our CD, going to help with the stability. And then we're also expecting more funds coming into the country, like more foreign currencies coming into the country in this particular like season or part of the year. So this is going to actually help our local currency stabilize in the short term. It has actually been relatively stable on the market, just that it's lost about 8%. As of close of Friday, according to or based on our Gold Coast CD index, the CD had lost about 8.47% to major trading partners on the interbank market. That's the dollar, the pound, and the euro. So we're going to see that stability. This is actually positive for us, and we hope that it continues. And interest rates, looking at the rate at which interest rates are going down, it's possible that we might end the year with a single-digit interest rate, especially for the treasury market.
That sounds good.
Yes, that sounds very good, because it's happening in other countries and it can happen here as well. And if the monetary policy rate also continues to drop, then we can see that that drop in the rate at which banks are actually giving out loans to customers, and that will help them to. That will also enable them to be able to pay within the stipulated time and also take up certain jobs and other stuff that they need to do. Not political, but it is that's what will happen if all things go well for our indicators.
All right, so let's look at the stocks today. We started on a good note, except for some slight glitches there. You want to tell us about that?
Yes, the stock market is currently doing exceptionally well. The major indices, the composite index and financial stock index, are returning above 30% to investors.
Interesting.
Financial stock index is 34.55% as a close of Friday's trade, and then the composite index is 33.65%, and this is way higher than what we experienced last year. And if you look at some of our stock picks, which I'll be mentioning some of them, if you look at their current year-to-date performance, they are doing more than 100% to investors. For instance, Standard Chartered Bank is 115.27%, and this you can't get in any money market instrument. Talk about the fixed deposits and the treasury bills, you can't get it. It's only the stock market is doing so well, and these equities are recommended equities. Standard Chartered actually lost about 7 pesos today, and that to 16 Ghana cedis per share. So you can actually buy Standard Chartered. FML lost 7 pesos to 16 Ghana cedis, so you can actually buy some of them. But Standard Chartered is still trading at about 25 Ghana cedis, 63 pesos, and you can get it on the stock market. It's a recommended buy equity on the market. BOPP is returning 141.83%, GOL 108.18%, and these are equities that we actually recommend that investors take advantage of, as well as FML
on the CD's performance, because we really have to go.
Yes, the CD closed the week with an average cost of 4 Ghana cedis, 37 pesos to the dollar, 5.72 to the pound, and then 5.10 to the euro. But as I earlier on mentioned, it has lost about 8.47% to these major trading partners on the interbank market.
Thanks for getting us up to date. That was Bertha, speaker of Gold Coast Fund Management. Thanks very much for your time. I want to move on now to our interview of the day. An international power supply company, ABB, has signed a memorandum of understanding with the Volta River Authority to provide technical training for the VRA Academy. The MOU is focusing on extending ABB's training capabilities and vast technical know-how in the field of power and automation to the academy. The 2-year partnership will offer quarterly training courses in power and automation. Hesham Tehima is the managing director of ABB.
Interview of the day. some courses to be agreed upon case by case every quarter, to be agreed upon according to the needs of the academy. The ongoing course started today. It's in the electrical, is the safety in the electrical installation. But within the course there is solar, there is PLC, there is the transformers maintenance, there is high voltage service and maintenance. So there is a lot within the portfolio of ABB, training courses in the University of ABB. We offered all these kind of courses, and according to the needs, what VRA Academy will select every quarter, we will organize for it.
So what are we looking out to achieve at the end of this course?
As I told you, it's one of the Swiss culture and the ABB culture for adding value to the community we are operating in. We are operating in almost more than 100 countries worldwide, and ABB have to footprint not only in business-wise, but also to the community. Upgrade of technical awareness, technical level, and by the way, the increasing of the technical level of the people also working in the utility company, this facilitate for ABB and other companies the future cooperation with the utility here.
Estimatedly, how much is it going to cost for ABB or the Swiss government to come up, finish with this?
The Swiss government is not involved, it's just
the ABB.
Up, yes. So it's a matter of sending the instructors according to the ongoing of this, but it's not a matter of money to be nominated. It's not like this. It's our contribution and our support to the community and to the country we are operating in.
Interview of the day
is always uploaded on our website, myjoyonline.com/business, just in case you want to watch it one more time. My name is Darryl Cow. I'll see you tomorrow.